Hello, all. I'm Brad Harris, and you are watching Movie Bears Podcast TV. And each week, I'm joined, well, not each week. Each week in my head, guys, because it's wishful thinking.
Right.
I would love to do it each week, but I know our schedules have been somewhat crazy. But you guys are always with me in spirit every week when I'm watching TV. Not when I'm watching other things that you shouldn't watch, but definitely when watching TV. With me, as usual, are my phenomenal co-hosts. Casey Scott. Welcome, Casey.
Hello. How is everyone? Good to be here.
Glad to have you here. Stephen Heslin is here with us as well, coming to you live from his new home. Hello,
Yes,
Stephen.
yes, new surroundings. I was just thinking about it, and I think in the time that we've done this podcast, I have lived in like 4 different places.
Wow. You totally have.
It's kind of crazy, but yeah. This is
I try not to get attached to your background.
Yeah, exactly.
I know at some point there's going to be like a tearful goodbye, you know what I mean? So.
Right.
Yeah,
so goodness.
This will be permanent for at least 5 years, I think.
Oh, good.
There we go. Well, speaking of scheduling issues, we have a little bit tonight. We've had some technical problems too. So unfortunately, it's a bit of an abbreviated show. But we figured it was better to be abbreviated than not to do it at all, because I fucking miss talking about TV with you guys.
Yeah,
so
me too.
Thanks for being willing to roll with it, and even if it's a short show, it'll still be a fun one. We're going to be talking about Orange is the New Black, as well as True Detective. Now, we realize you guys have probably already digested all of Orange is the New Black, because, you know, you're like rabid dogs when it comes to lesbian prisons.
Who is
I know, and you know, True Detective is now like three episodes in, but we're just going to kind of talk about some general impressions of the new season, since not everyone, you know, is at the same place yet. So, yeah, definitely, I think that's going to work well. So we're just going to kick right into it and talk a little bit of Orange is the New Black. The animals, the animals. Every time I hear that song, I want to choke somebody.
I love the theme song. I think it's really good. Yeah,
I like, what is her name? Regina Spektor?
Regina Spektor.
Yeah, I like Regina Spektor, but for some reason that song just bugs the crap out of me. Yeah. I'm like, quick, fast forward to 1 minute and 18 seconds.
Yeah, actually, I've been doing that a lot. It's just a long intro. That's the only
thing. It is a long intro.
It is.
And I don't know, with Netflix original shows, I don't know why they don't skip past that credit sequence. They do that for lots of other shows. Like Mad Men does that.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, guys. Apparently, get it? Face it?
Oh,
gee.
Oh, goodness. Well, it's been a long way. Orange is the New Black is back. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people have already kind of devoured it. But there's nothing wrong with taking your time to enjoy it, to savor it, to go through it. Casey, I think you finished this series already. Is that right?
I did. Yeah, I finished the weekend it came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
That's difficult for me, though. I was like that last season, too. So.
Gotcha. Well, I just finished it last week. Jim and I had been sort of only watching like 2 or 3 episodes a week or something. And Steven, I think you're only like a third or halfway through the season? 3 episodes in? Yeah.
Well, you've had other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Moving and all that.
Life has gotten in the way.
Stupid life. No, I have a season of a show to watch.
Life and being an adult has gotten in the way.
So why don't we structure our discussion this spoiler-free way, since Steven is not yet done, and I'm sure we have listeners who aren't either. Casey, what were some of your initial impressions of the season when you started watching? Like, were you kind of happy it was back, or was it just kind of more of the old same? Like,
I was really happy it was back because I really like so many of these characters, and it's funny, when the show came back, it reintroduced all these other characters that I completely forgot that I liked, or you know, the show isn't as dark this season as it was in the previous 2 seasons. I don't think. I think it's a lot lighter this season. But I I of course saw that Alex was back, the lesbian lover of
Right.
Taylor, and I was like, oh great, here we go with this shit again. And so I'm really bored and tired of that storyline, and it doesn't take very interesting turns in the first couple episodes.
Yeah, I noticed.
I'd argue to say it doesn't even really go that interesting the rest of the season without spoiling anything, but yeah, it's kind of more of the same in that area. But yeah, I'm really glad. I'm glad that the show continues to surprise me and really get me that involved with all these various different characters and different backgrounds. It's still the most racially diverse show on television.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Which, and the casting is amazing. I mean, where these actresses have come from, a lot of them come from like the stage world in New York, and so you've never seen them in anything else, and so they're kind of wondering where else can I see these people and doing their amazing thing. And the frustrating thing is, and a lot of the stars haven't taken off, so you can really only see them on this show at this point. It's frustrating because you have to wait another year to see them in action. But yeah, I really like this season a lot. It's not as interesting. Last season had a really interesting villain in V, and there really isn't that villain factor this season. But
V.
Yeah, right, right. But yeah, I really like this season a lot. And it gets better as the season goes on, honestly.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was excited when it came back too. Like, it was all I could do is not to like lock myself in the house for a weekend and just binge watch it. But Jim and I have had a lot of things going on, and I just started a new role at work recently, and I've been like working 80-hour weeks or something crazy like that. So it was like, you know what? We're just gonna like parse it out. You know what I mean? Like 2 or 3 episodes. We got other stuff to watch. And I gotta say, like, I enjoy it too. I'm really glad it's back. But Casey, you mentioned it's not as dark this season initially, and I gotta resonate with that a little bit. And I think for me, that's part of why it didn't fire as well for me, because end of last season, and spoiler alert for last season, we had this epic confrontation with V, and V gets killed, and stuff. And then the first thing is, it's like, happy la, it's Mother's Day, flowers, all the kids are coming in, and and I'm like, okay, well, that's episode 1. I'm sure it's gonna get dark. Let's go, episode 2. And then, like, episode 2, I think, was the one that was about the bed bugs.
Yeah.
The bed bugs,
right? The bed bugs. Right. And, oh, gosh, like, the most crazy thing going on is that they're having to burn mattresses because, bed bugs.
Yeah.
And then the third episode is all about, was it drama class or whatever, right?
Yeah, drama class.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a second. We're like, 13 episodes. We're 3 in at this point, and nothing is happening of substance.
Yeah.
So I was a little let down by that, but I do enjoy some of the levity. I'm with you, Casey. I like seeing so many of these characters back. I like that we're even getting some new characters who are getting like background stories and stuff.
Right.
I used to find Chang, the older woman, like super annoying. And now I find her super interesting. I'm like, oh my god, I want to learn everything there is to learn about Chang.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm definitely pumped. A whole nother year until next season at this point. Right. But yeah, good stuff. Steven, how about you?
Well, I'm kind of where you were at because I'm only 3 episodes in. So the first 3 episodes, as you described, I'm kind of in that place of like, as much as I like these characters and I love this show and the style and everything, I'm kind of like, where's this going? This is just all bleh. It's sort of...
It's definitely not Oz in terms of...
Yeah, it's sort of rinse and repeat. It's the same storylines. It's, there's nothing really new. There's no villain. There's no danger. I guess the only danger is, and I guess it's not spoiling anything because I don't know where it's going, is, them closing the prison. But, I mean, other than that, it's just sort of, I find myself while I'm watching it, like, starting to drift off, look at my phone, do other things, and I'll notice that, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm not paying attention because it's not gripping yet. So I'm hoping it gets more gripping. But right now it's just good. I mean, it's the same characters that you love, and it's okay, but you can't just sustain yourself on that.
Right. Let me ask you this, Stephen. Since your experience is probably the freshest with these initial 3 episodes, how do you feel about like the Piper storyline?
Oh, I want. She's the least interesting character of the whole thing, and you know, to be honest, you know, I know she sort of was the initial entrance into this, you know, world, but if she got released and we just stayed in the prison, I'd be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still right there with you. Like, I just want them to come and be like, Piper, Chapman, you're getting released early for your behavior. See you never. And then, you know.
Right.
The whole thing with her and Alex Voss or whatever is just it's so boring. It's I just don't care.
Right.
You know. It's so I mean I'm always also wondering like where's Jason Biggs? What happened to him?
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
He bailed. He finally wised up and realized what a nightmare she was.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Well, I realize it's hard, I think, for you and me, Casey, right, to not give spoilers. But I will say that there are more episodes for you to enjoy, Stephen.
Yeah.
And I hope that a lot of the cast ensemble stuff that Casey was saying kind of shines this season. You know, is a good thing for you. I've been enjoying it, and I won't say any more than that. But yeah, I'm interested to know your thoughts once you're done. So no rush, but once you wrap, maybe we can revisit this discussion.
That'd be great. Okay, we'll do.
And talk a little deeper about it. Do you guys? I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. The whole like closing the prison storyline that has started at this point, right? Like that was announced in episode 3, right?
2, I think they started.
Was it 2?
Yeah.
Was it 2? Okay.
Because they were like, we don't need to replace. Why would we replace these mattresses if we just place
That's
down?
right. That's right.
Like,
that was episode 2. Yeah, exactly. So that is kind of interesting. Stephen, what do you think of the new counselor?
I love her. I love that they brought in somebody competent because I kind of felt like this bumbling, like how is this prison being run when everyone's an idiot?
Right.
I like that they brought in somebody that it shows that there are competent people trying to make a difference.
Right.
And, you know, she may fuck up from time to time. I don't know yet, but at least her initial, you know, entrance into the show is like, I know how to do my job, and I know how to help people.
Right.
And so it's a nice contrast to Healy, who is just constantly abusing women, you know.
Right. Casey, I have a question for you. I'm like full of questions today. What did I miss something? What happened to the like doe-eyed female guard? That like
she left last. She was fired.
Okay.
She got. I think Healy fired her.
Right.
Last season, but I don't remember what the circumstances were.
So she's just done. I figured she was going to come back somehow, but I guess she's just gone.
Yeah, no, she's gone. But she pops up everywhere because she's a comedian, so I see her in like Drunken Fury and all sorts of stuff.
Well, she's in Jurassic World, which is what made me.
Oh, is she?
Does she play a velociraptor?
She's all like.
Very method performance.
And Chris Pratt is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. And there was something I did want to mention in that Bedbugs episode. You get to see the hot, bearish electrician guy.
Yeah, get down to his
underwear, and I was like, oh my god, thank you, Orange is the New Black.
That was hot. That was
the hottest guy in the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, my Tumblr feed was like full of screen caps of that.
Oh yeah.
So not that I know what Tumblr is or anything.
What? I don't. You can find naughty stuff on Tumblr?
Right.
It's not naughty. It's an artistic expression of the male form.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Keep it classy, Steven.
Seriously. Yeah, come on, dude. Come on. What are you guys thinking of Kate Mulgrew? Are you still enjoying her as Red at this point?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, I think she's still really good, and I think she's still she's really kind of the center of the show for me over Piper.
Yeah.
Because she's a character that has control over certain people in the prison, and she has a lot of interesting relationships with different people in different factions. So, yeah.
And she has nice arcs. I mean, she kind of rises to power, then gets shut down, then goes up, and so
Right.
she has nice roller coasters.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting because if you think back at where she started, she was supposed to be like the arch villain because of her power.
Right.
She's really gone on a big roller coaster.
Yeah.
She's great.
I gotta say, when this show started, like the idea of like Captain Janeway as like,
I know.
It was so weird to me. I like could not wrap my head around it. And then that accent, the accent was so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now it's like
I can only picture her as Russian now.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny. So like I've been watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine and I finished it recently. And now I'm like, God, I want to start Voyager. But I'm like, I don't think I can watch that show the same way ever again.
Right.
Well, the only consolation is that she is like two different people because she is half the person she is in Orange is the New Black on Voyager because she's literally half the size.
Right. Exactly.
So
that's true.
I think you probably will have some separation.
She used to be a lot thinner as Janeway.
A lot thinner.
Yeah.
But was it because she was smoking back then and she gave it up?
Smoke yourself thin?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, when we were at the Star Trek convention a couple of years ago, I got to meet her, and one of the things she said was that she had finally given up smoking and started eating cookies instead of having cigarettes.
Oh, well, there's the answer right there.
I thought she was maybe joking,
No.
But, yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah.
But I like that she's the size because if she was the size that she was on Star Trek, then she wouldn't be as imposing.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
So she's really kind of perfect.
I think whatever size she is, she's a beautiful person.
Agreed. No, I don't think it's bad. It's just like it was completely different. Like when I first saw her on Orange is the New Black, I was like, she looks, oh my God,
Right. It wasn't like a Kathleen Turner kind of thing, though.
No.
But then Kate Mulgrew was also never a sex symbol like Kathleen Turner was.
So, are you guys ready for Laura Prepon to just like leave the show permanently?
I really am. I think it's really run its course. There's nowhere else for this character to go, and it's like, she's just there to serve as Piper's personal vag counselor. It's just like there's no other reason for her to be there. Honestly, she doesn't add anything else to the show.
Every time she's like Piper, I just want to like throw things at my TV.
Yeah. It's annoying, and they're like angry, hate sex. I was like, okay, I guess if they're lesbians watching, they might like this, but it made me really angry. I was just like, I'm so done with this. Like, come on.
I was waiting for them to scissor, but I didn't. See
no, I was no scissoring. I thought that's what ladies did.
Yeah.
The show is obviously not realistic enough.
Yeah,
exactly.
Obviously, they don't know how sex happens between lesbians.
They don't know how women make sex on each other. They need to fix that.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we shift gears here?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It's really good. Yeah, Steven, definitely keep watching it. I think there's a certain point. I don't remember if season 3 was the Nikki episode, but I feel like after the Nikki episode, it gets way better.
Okay.
And you'll know what that means when you get to that episode.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to give any other impressions, so I will not contradict Casey or verify what he says. No confirming or denying from me, but I am interested to hear what you think. So
we'll revisit it.
Once things have settled down at the house and ready to go, let us know. But all right, let's go ahead and talk about True Detective. All right, so we're going to talk about episode 1 of True Detective. We may spoil episode 1 of True Detective, but I have not yet seen episodes 2 or 3. Have you guys seen the other 2 episodes?
No.
I've seen all 3.
Okay.
I have not. I say no, and I actually say hell no.
Oh, gosh. All right.
I'm going to channel my inner Sophia and say,
jumping the gun.
No, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
Steven, I think that you're probably a little more favorable than Casey.
Yeah.
What she said, perhaps,
well,
maybe? Question mark?
I'll get into it. I'll just go right.
Okay. All right.
So in sort of discussing this, Casey sort of, let us know ahead of time, that his general feelings on the show, that he was unfavorable towards it. And then in preparation for this podcast, about half an hour before we started tonight, Brad was catching up and was about 20 minutes into it. Was like, oh my God, I want to turn this off. And I'm kind of glad to hear that, because I have been kind of keeping up with it, knowing that we were going to talk about this, and I was forcing myself to, because I was like, this is a bad show.
That's your dedication to the show.
Yeah.
God love you.
I was just like, am I the only one who thinks this is a bad show? Like, this seems really, really bad. Like, the first, in general, this is a new show. A new season where they, it's a completely different storyline. There's no connection to the first season. And the first season, for me, and I think, we discussed it on the show, was sort of a mixed bag a little bit. Yeah. There were definitely some amazing, fantastic things about the show, but there was also a lot of just weird crap that, I didn't really like.
Right. It was very inconsistent.
Yeah. This one, I feel like everything is off. I feel like, I don't know what happened, but like the casting is off, the story is off, the pacing is off. I had a hard time kind of following it, and they were being very mysterious about certain things. But I will say, in the 3 episodes that I've watched, the first one, the pilot, or the episode 1, is definitely the worst.
Okay.
2 and 3 get better.
Okay.
But not much better. It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's worth watching.
Okay.
But you definitely get a few more details. And then I rewatched a little bit of episode 1 again today, because I was like, I misremembered something. And I rewatched episode 1. I'm like, oh, it makes a lot more sense now.
Okay.
So I definitely think the attitude they're taking is sort of a we're peppering it with stuff that you definitely won't understand until you watch the whole season and then rewatch it. And when you rewatch it, you'll be like, oh, they were so brilliant. They put this thing in here that I wouldn't understand until I watched the whole season.
Oh, fuck that.
And, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't drag me along like that.
Goodness. I know Justin Lin directed the first episode. Did he do any?
He directed the first and second episode. The third one was directed by someone else.
So I gotta ask, does the second one still have like the weird like moving facial shots, like at the end of the first one when they're like?
Oh no, it doesn't. That to me looked like a shot that they did for the commercial. Like when I saw the teaser for it, I was like, oh, they only shot that for the teaser, right? And then that's in the episode. I was like, oh, that's just weird.
Everyone, do your Justin Lin moving facial serious face. Wow, that's we could like be in an episode of True Detective.
Well, and that ties into what my feeling is. It's like it feels like a parody of True Detective of the first season. It feels like everything is so like serious, and everyone hates their job. Everyone's miserable. Everyone has sex hang-ups. It's just like, oh my god, this is like a better written SNL sketch. Like, I was just like, this is the most ridiculous thing ever. It was just so it's so melodramatic. Steven, you're right. The casting is way off. Like nobody rings true in any of these parts whatsoever. Vince Vaughn looks especially lost.
Yeah, totally agree. He's the worst.
No, he's terrible, and I'm just like, well, everyone was kind of like, well, remember Vince Vaughn from Swingers, and remember when he was in all these other dramas like Clay Pigeons and stuff when he was starting out, and I said, yeah, well, people can lose talent over time, believe it or not. Like,
and I honestly, I don't think it's 100% his fault. I mean,
Right.
part of it is the dialogue and the directing. You know, I think he
Right.
can be a decent serious actor. And this role, I would actually cast him in this role. But you know, if you just did the role on a top level, like, you know, ex-mobster trying to go legit, you know, like, I could kind of picture him like that. But the dialogue and the pacing and the directing, it's just, he's trying to do this weird, like, stone face thing, and it's just not working.
He looks like he's trying to suppress a lot of laughter.
Yes.
In a lot of scenes. like he doesn't believe the stuff he has to say.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh my god. And Colin Farrell is like really over the top and campy, and Rachel McAdams will always be Regina George to me. That's the only thing I've ever liked her in ever. And yeah, she's just not good. And Taylor Kitsch, the name to begin with.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh Lord, like.
You want to see my impression of Taylor Kitsch?
Do it. Let me focus the camera on you.
He's just got this weird, like, angsty look the whole time. Like.
Yeah.
But Steven, you gotta do something real quick. He was the one riding the motorcycle, right?
Yes.
You gotta like flap your cheekbones.
Oh yeah, that scene where it's like.
Yes. Exactly. Oh my god.
It was.
He's like the weirdest. It's really bad. His pursed lips, like he's trying really hard to look deep and concerned.
In episode 3, there's a scene that is just so bad. He's just so bad in it.
Wow.
This season has been getting universally panned pretty much.
Oh, really?
People are talking major. Yeah, people are talking major shit about this season. They're like, and honestly, I think they should have prepared themselves for this, knowing that the first season was loved by so many people. People falling over themselves, praising the cinematography and the performances. Yeah.
I still will say the best thing about the show is the opening credits.
Yeah.
You know.
I think part of the problem is that we're comparing incomplete products because, well, partially. I mean, you have season 1, right? And season 1 was very beloved by a lot of people. Not me, but a lot of people. And that's complete. Whereas they're judging, you know, a handful of episodes at this point against a whole season, right? Like you were saying, Steven, this show is all about like sprinkling things throughout so that at the end, or if you come back to the beginning, you're like, wow, oh my god, that was brilliant. So I would almost argue that you can't adequately compare the two until maybe you've watched the full season.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think that's a good way to make a show, because you're going to lose a lot of people that, you know, are like, I don't understand this, I'm going to leave. I mean, I was thinking about it, and you know, I had to watch this sort of on my own a little bit, but my husband Sean, you know, really wanted to watch it with me. It's just we didn't have time, so I was watching it late at night and stuff. And so he talked to me the next morning. He's like, "Oh God, I want to watch that show. Do you think we can watch it together? Do you think I'll like it?" And I was like, you know, I don't think you will, because I could picture him the whole time going like, who's this guy? What's he doing here?
Right.
Why'd he just go over and talk to her? Is that the same guy from here? What's going on? Like the whole time I'd be having to pause it and be like, just wait, you're going to know later, because later on they explain this, and this. You know, like, it would just be frustrating.
Well, and I got to tell you. Go ahead.
Well, the first season, like, the sprinkles that they had made you, like, they left little nuggets here and there that made you want to watch the next episode and see where it was going. I didn't get that from the first episode. Like, first episode of True Detective I thought was really strong, and I said, okay, I want to see where this is going. And while it was an inconsistent season, I think the second half was way stronger than the first, because they finally finally made stuff happen, you know? Yeah. It was very slow going the first half, but this first episode did not make me want to keep watching. I didn't give a shit about these characters or how they were connected. I didn't care if he was a dirty cop. I didn't care about her sex hang-ups. Like, I just didn't care.
I think part of the issue for me, and I having just watched it like literally, you know, 45 minutes ago. For one thing, season 1, you know, we only had 2 cops. It was their relationship. There were some ancillary people, right? But it was just those 2. And and now we've got like a big 4, right? We've got Taylor Kitsch. We've got a big 4. And the first episode brings them all sort of together at the end, like some weird medieval ring.
Yeah. And very loosely. Like, the excuses for bringing them together are very thin.
Right.
Right.
Like, I just happened to be riding my motorcycle, kill myself.
But also, it's
I'm
like,
dead body.
because of this jurisdiction, and we're doing a thing with this, and
Right,
it's
right.
just
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you were talking, Stephen, about Sean, like, asking, like, who is this, and why is she there? And I had those questions. I'm going to tell you right now, 15 fucking minutes in, I was lost.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I was too.
I don't have time before the show to rewind this and figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't on my phone. I was watching the frickin' screen, and I was clueless. I was lost. And by the end of the episode, I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess they're all four going to be together and be a thing now. But when I messaged you guys, like, in our Facebook chat thread, and I'm like, this episode makes me never want to watch again.
Yeah.
I was only, like, 1/4, like, joking.
Well, and do you guys mind if I spoil something for you?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Go for it.
At the end of episode 2, they did something, and this is a spoiler for everyone who's only watched episode 1, but at the end of episode 2, they did something that I thought was going to be amazing, and which was they had Vince Vaughn give Colin Farrell this address. He said, "Go check this out. I need to find out what happened to that guy." So Colin Farrell goes into the address, and it's this really creepy room with all this sex toys and stuff like this. And he's standing there, and he turns around. At one point, he kind of hears something, and he turns around and pulls out his gun. But before he can, this guy in this crow mask shoots him with a shotgun point blank in the chest.
Oh, wow.
He goes flying back and goes on the floor. And they basically do the kind of pull up with the camera, and the episode ends. I'm like, holy fuck! They killed Colin Farrell episode 2. Brilliant!
Awesome.
What a brilliant thing! They start out with these
really good.
Yeah, the next episode. Oh, it was just buckshot. He's fine.
Oh Lord!
And I was so pissed because what a brilliant move! It's sort of like the first Scream movie. They advertise with the one actress, and then she's killed in the first 2 minutes.
Right.
How awesome would that have been if Colin Farrell was just there for the first 2 episodes?
That would be great. If nothing else, because he's Rust Cole all over again.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I love the handlebar mustache. It's sexy, but it's yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like, there's a look to it, and I'm fine with that. But, like, we just had that in season 1. You know what I mean? So it's a little weird. And not only that, but, like, he's also the smoker dude, and he, like, smokes his cigarette the same way, like, Rust Cole does. And he's got some of those same, like, affected mannerisms. And he's got the whole, like, cigarette in the mouth, mumble thing, you don't know what I'm talking about. Fucking bullshit that drives me crazy. Like, I turn on closed captioning, like, 3 fucking times.
Yeah, this is a show that, like, and I think the first season was like this too. I always like to watch it with closed captions on because it's easier for me to read it and process what they're saying and try to piece it together that way. House of Cards, I'm the same way with that. And there's a few other shows like that, but it's like, I think this season it would definitely help if you had closed captions on because if you can read it, you can process what's going on better.
I mean, at least this season we don't have like the southern accent thing.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
That.
So there's that. I mean, they're in fucking LA, so like it's
Yeah.
But it's just the whole like mumble quietly thing that makes it difficult.
Right.
The only thing
McConaughey was the worst about that last season because everything he said, it was like, okay, get to a point. Like, okay, you're going the soliloquies about life and death and all this shit. That's when I had to turn closed captions on because I was like, maybe I can read it. This one makes sense, and it didn't help whatsoever. I was just like, oh, he's just a drunk, egotistical asshole.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
The only thing that I find that's sort of interesting about the show is that the city of Vinci, which is a fake city, is loosely based on a real city called Vernon, which a lot of the stuff that they're talking about in the show actually happened in real life. You know, in 2011 they exposed a scandal in Vernon where Vernon was an industrial district of LA, just south of LA, that only had 114 residents but 50,000 workers, and there was two corrupt families that were in charge of the city for like 50 years and were raking in millions of dollars from taxpayers, that didn't live there. I mean, it was just this crazy scandal that had gone on for years until they finally exposed it. So it's kind of, that's the only thing, is the sort of semi-true aspect of the show that I find interesting. But because I was like, Vinci, where's that? And I Googled it. I'm like, oh wow, this is fascinating.
Interesting.
But that's the only kind of nice thing. I mean, I think I'm a glutton for punishment, and I think I'm going to continue watching it to see if there's a payoff, because I feel like there's got to be a payoff, but I feel like I'm going to regret it.
You're going to be wading through a lot of bad dialogue and disappointing acting. Unfortunately, good visuals, but that doesn't really, that works for me for like foreign films, but not necessarily American television.
I have to ask a question. So you frequently reference my patented Brad Harris 5-episode rule.
Yeah.
Since this is technically season 2 of the show, even though it's an all new cast, all new place, all new storyline, is that rule still in effect? Do I still have to follow that?
No. And on top of it, we've been talking about there's so many shows that we want to watch and need to watch, but we have such little time. This is not worth the time right now. I'll sacrifice myself and give you guys updates, but
we appreciate that.
Thank you.
I will say, Stephen, if you come back and say, you know what, it gets amazing, guys, it gets amazing, like revisit, then I will. I mean, I will put that little ornament on the tree. That doesn't even make sense. Where that
what analogy is that?
Guys, I'm so tired. I've had to start waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning lately.
I'll put that shoe on the biscuit.
Anyway, all that to say, if you think it turns out to be great, I'll circle back to it. I'll make you that promise.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
That's my new favorite analogy. I'll put that shoe on the biscuit.
I'll put that shoe on the biscuit.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, guys, do you want to do some quick plugs before we wrap up for the night?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So my plug is short and sweet. We had an awesome episode of Movie Bears podcast last night. We reviewed Magic Mike XXL, and our very own Magic Mike Lovins guested on the show. He would only guest under the promise that we would do the show shirtless. So it's our first all shirtless podcast. I wore my leather harness with my Bears flag colors. And it was awesome. It was lots of fun. It was a cool discussion. But it was kind of crazy because listeners were sending in shirtless pics, and we were putting them up on the screen while we were talking.
Awesome.
Oh wow!
It was crazy fun. So normally I would say check out the show on iTunes or whatever, but don't check it out on iTunes this week. Don't do it.
You gotta do the
You won't
YouTube.
see any of the hotness. So go to YouTube, just search for Movie Raiders Podcast, and watch the episode because it's super fucking fun. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So Steven, what do you got?
I will also have a self-involved plug. So the movie that I co-edited had its premiere in San Francisco a couple weeks ago.
Oh my gosh!
And at Frameline Film Festival, and at a packed Castro Theater. So it was amazing. It was awesome.
Wow.
And then this coming Monday, it's going to be premiering at Outfest. Here in LA, and I'm gonna go see it.
Oh, great!
There. Yeah, so it's actually doing really well. And it got into a film festival in Colorado, I think. So it's doing really well. If anyone wants information on it, go to desertmigrationmovie.com. And it's I'm really excited to kind of see the journey that's gonna go on, and it's my first feature film IMDb credit as an editor. So it's
my gosh, that's awesome!
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So, yes, go check that out.
Awesome.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I really want to see it.
I definitely want to see it, too. I hope I get a chance.
I know. I'm hoping it gets to some sort of video on demand or DVD service.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, if it can get into Newfest, too. If it's playing at Outfest, then I would hope that it would play at Newfest, which is the New York version of Outfest.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're sort of making their way across the country.
Right.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed that it's somewhere we can
Yeah.
see it soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Casey, what have you got this week?
I have one real plug and then one self plug. We've been gone for 2 weeks. 2 plugs is fair.
Yeah.
Masters of Sex comes back on Sunday, July
Ah.
12th, and I am so excited about the show coming back. It's the one show other than Orange is the New Black that I'm actually excited about watching this summer. So yeah, the last season was great. This season is jumped forward to like 1966, so it should be taking some interesting turns. And then my self-plug is that I'm going to Provincetown for Bear Week next week. And so if any listeners recognize my punum or my voice out and about, I welcome people saying hi. I love to talk about TV and movies in person.
Give him a big bear hug.
I always give bear hugs, and I can't promise that I'll be sober, but that just makes me more fun and more cuddly. So,
Casey, I'm so jelly that you're going to be there. I was there
one year. I need to make it to Bear Week.
I didn't know you then yet, Casey, and I just had a chance to meet you. So maybe next year, guys, we need to all plan to meet up there.
That'd be great.
We'll get Will from the Movie Bears podcast and his partner, and we'll just have like a big old like drunken.
I mean, yeah.
We'll have like a drunken planners punch like night.
That would be fun. I would like that. Yeah, because it's my 5th year going, so my 5th year anniversary, and yeah, awesome. It's gonna be fun. You know, I always wear movie and TV themed shirts as much as I can to attract other geeks into that stuff.
But, there you go.
We'll totally do it right. We're gonna start planning.
Awesome. Yes, please do. That'd be a lot of fun.
We should have a Movie Bears house, like rent a Movie Bears house.
That would be
nice. That would be fun. That would be fun. Casey, I don't know if you have like a standing group that you rent a house with or anything, but
I do, but I don't know. It might change. They might decide not to go next year. So we never know.
Or maybe we'll get an MBP house and you can just come, visit. And
absolutely. I think that'd be grand. Absolutely.
All right. I know it was a short show, guys, but man, I have missed doing this last couple weeks. So I'm glad
me too.
Get a little bit in, and we'll figure out what we're doing next. It's so weird with summer now. Like, there's, I don't know, crazy shows. We got to figure it out, but we will. Yeah. Anyway, have a good one.
There's a lot of new shows to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a MeTV.
The problem is that having the time to watch a bunch of new shows is the challenge sometimes.
Right.
But
this is true.
We'll figure it out. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Good night.
All right, guys. Enjoy TV.
Yes, he said it.